starting to plan an armed robbery so I could get a huge amount of it. And that's just not me. That's not the type of person that I am. And I did everything that I said I'd never do. And I'd got to the point where I just wanted it to stop. I couldn't stop, you know, every week, living paycheck to paycheck, you know, and spend all my wages on the drug.
So you were still working, though?
I was still working, yeah.
So were you, for want of a better word, flying at work?
Oh, absolutely. I had a job where I had it delivered to the back door at times where I was working, yep.
And it must have affected your work?
Well, in the start I was using it to try and sort of keep an edge. I was a chef for 20 years. And at the start, you know, it was good. I was able to keep that edge. But in the end, it just fries your brain, and I was fried. You know, I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember things from 1 minute to the next, basically.
Because it just ruins your brain.
Ruins your brain. Fries the frontal lobes of your brain.
So how did you get involved in Richard's program?
Well, I'd got to the point where I wanted help, and I was having huge anger attacks too when I was coming down off the drug. You know, I had road rage. I had people bailed up in traffic. You know, someone had cut me off in traffic, and normal people would just, yeah, whatever.
Give them the finger.
Yeah, whatever.
Carry on.
But I'd chase them and get out of the car and smash their window and that kind of stuff, you know. It turned me into an absolute maniac. Yeah. And my folks, God bless them, had heard about Richard's program, and they'd actually tricked me into it to start with, to go for some anger management counselling. And that's what I thought I was going for initially, was anger management counselling. And I got to Richard's clinic, and I spoke to him for about 10 minutes and then actually realised why I was there. And I just sort of had a moment of clarity, and I thought, well, you know, if you're ever going to change your life and stop this roller coaster, then this is going to be the time to do it, you know. And it changed my life, basically.
Let's talk about the clinic, Richard.
Yeah, what happens when you see someone like Simon come in? Are they all the same, or some? Do you ever? Are you ever frightened? Do you ever think, oh,
they're
I
all
don't know?
quite different, but
because it's a drug addiction clinic. We should point out straight away.
The Raymond Hayter Clinic. I set up the clinic many years ago to try and address a problem that I didn't see government programs addressing, and that what happened with government programs is they decided to have harm minimisation. So, you know, controlled using, and let's try and reduce the harm associated with it. And I decided that I needed to have a totally abstinent-based program, and we set up a program. Guys like Simon come in all the time, and young women. We've got a 15-year-old girl there at the moment who's, you know, used ice in clubs. She's getting into clubs at 15, you know.
And what do? You have to grab them and hold them there, or if it's total abstinence?
So we can't imprison them, and they run off. We've had a guy stay there for 2 weeks, and he's gone. He should have been there for 12. The young girl who's come back, she was there for 2 weeks, run off, but came back when she realised nothing had changed. So, you know, I set up a program that was going to look at, I think, the 5 aspects of addiction, which is, you know, it affects us physically, it affects us emotionally, it affects us how we think, it affects us spiritually, and Simon should be helping me here and giving me the 5th one. But, you know, we look at all the aspects, and so what we try to do is treat all those aspects. It's not just about changing their thinking or changing their social environment, or it's about changing how they react and respond emotionally. And then also, really, the foundation of the 12-step program that we use is spiritual based.
Simon, you've been through, you're now 6 months clean.
Yeah, yep.
How different does it feel now than it did when you were an addict?
I feel like a completely different person. I feel like today I'm not the person that I was when I was using drugs.
Do you still have a taste for it, though? I mean, do you get into those circumstances where you go, oh, I could, you know...
I still have thoughts, but, you know, those thoughts are just thoughts, and I realised that if I was to act out on those thoughts, that would bring me back all that misery to start back to square one again, you know.
Do you think of your family in situations like that, and, you know, what you did to your parents? Because obviously you think pretty highly of them too.
Well, absolutely, but, you know, fortunately, this program has shown me that I'm not that kind of person, and I've been able to forgive myself for that, and they've forgiven me as well, you know. And everybody and everything that I love has come back into my life again, so, you know, and that's, to me, that's gold, you know, so...
Why does it happen? I mean, everyone, youth, forever have come into contact with drugs.
Yeah.
Why do some people fall really hard, and why don't others? And is there a statistic behind that, do you think?
Well, I have a bit of a rule of thumb. You know, in my 20 years of experience, I'd probably say that 10% of people who try drugs or try alcohol, any sort of drug, 10% will end up having problems with it. Yeah. And it's not about how much you use or how often you use it, it's where it takes you. You know, does it destroy relationships? Do you lose jobs? Do you not study? Do you don't finish your schooling because of it? You know, they're the effects, they're the social effects, and they're going to be long-term effects for the individual. So, you know, there's a whole lot of reasons why people start using. Most people start using because it's partying, it's experimentation, it's let's try this. Yeah. And say if they've got some issue or drama and they find that this works. You know, if they're a bit shy, they take this drug, I'm out there, I'm gregarious, I'm loved, I'm wonderful. So drugs have a positive effect. Then they have a negative effect.
So with all of that in mind, does the current thinking of trying to teach your kids to say no, does that work?
I don't think it does. I'm fairly controversial in my industry, and I think drug education doesn't make any difference, because what happens is most of my addicts are well educated. They know more about drugs than a pharmacologist or a doctor. You know, so
what can you
education.
Do? What can you do? I mean,
well, at schools, I think we should be teaching kids how to handle life. You know, they should have a course on, you know, emotional growth. What's emotional growth? How do you grow? How do you grow spiritually? And that's not talking religion or any of that sort of stuff. It's talking about getting in touch with Mother Earth or whatever. You know, getting people to feel part of the community. So what's happened is there's a disconnection from community, and we don't teach that at school. We teach maths, science. We might teach home economics, which in my day was cooking and whatever.
But we don't teach how to manage relationships.
Relationships, I say, are the biggest killer of addicts. Because what happens is they get into relationships, get resentments, hate each other, have a whack, dead. It's that simple. I treat it as a disease, it's an illness, and don't let anyone get it wrong, it's a fatal disease. It's just like cancer. It will kill eventually. And if it doesn't kill, it will torture and maim on the way.
Now, if there are parents out there who think that their kids or someone that they know or someone in their family is on ice, what are they going to do? What can they do?
Well, first of all, they can sort of try and contact the local drug and alcohol agency they're with, that's in their area, ring direct line. But certainly you can look on our website, contact us as well. And parents, and what I'd like to say is we have an intervention program. That's what happened here with Simon. Simon it was an intervention. If his parents hadn't intervened, he'd still be out there using. So what happens is he came in, he identified with me. All my practitioners are recovering addicts. So we've been there, we've got qualifications to be able to educate and train and share our experience, but there's no better therapeutic value than one addict working with another. And you know, that's what I think Simon would say, that clicked for him.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was the first time in my life that I'd actually been able to speak to somebody that understood about what I was feeling and why I was using, because they'd used themselves and been down that road themselves. You know, people that aren't addicts don't understand, you know, what it's like for an addict.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely. And look, it touches families everywhere, doesn't it? Yeah. Very few people, you know, aren't touched by this. We've got a heap of details too on our website, so if you need any national numbers and national information, you can jump onto our website too.
And also, the clinic is called the Raymond Hayder Clinic.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in. Not an easy thing to talk about, but we appreciate your time, and best of luck. Best of luck. And I look forward to the next restaurant that you work in too.
Absolutely.
All the best. We'll be back with more 9am after this.